I got a glimpse of the rehearsals earlier. I don't want to say too much, but anything you can share with the audience?
Yeah, you know, all I will say is that it will be the ultimate expression of the event. So you can expect us to really bring together the sport, the players, Ink Shadow, the anthem, to really hype everyone who's watching and to really honor the moment.
Nas has been so tight-lipped. I don't even know what's happening in the OC, so it's going to be a surprise for all of us.
It's going to be amazing. Thank you so much for joining me on stage ahead of the series.
Thank you.
Happy finals day.
Happy finals
games.
day.
And that's all for us here on this side of the stage. We'll be right back for the rest of Countdown right after this.
Làm chi cho nó tắt điều hành. Right.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Copper Box Arena as we are counting down towards our opening ceremony and the start of JDG versus BLG. Maybe an unlikely road that they found themselves in these finals, but that doesn't make us any less excited. It is interesting, though, that they have played each other so much this year. Actually, JDG is 11-4 versus BLG, and it's their 4th best of 5.
I mean, these teams are so familiar with each other, right? You know, it's 3 best of 5s they've already played. This will be their 4th today. They played a BO3 in the regular season as well, and JDG won every single one. And the best of 5s have gotten more and more one-sided. Started 3-2, went 3-1 in the finals, and then 3-0 here at MSI.
Yeah, it actually got worse and worse. And JDG themselves talked to us as well about the first round that they played in playoffs, but they were still getting a feel for the meta. They had also, up until that point, not played a series, and we often see the teams need some time to adjust. But then as they got more and more adjusted, it got harder and harder for BLG.
Yeah, and I think that was the big thing, was that BLG actually felt the need to adjust. He talked about how they needed to change their draft strategies coming into MSI as a result of what JDG had done to them. So I'm very excited now to see today how they do actually manage to adjust in that draft to set themselves up for success against what's been such a big adversary for them.
Yeah, you could see it any of two ways in terms of JDG, of course, coming in with a lot of confidence, knowing we know you like the back of our hand. But BLG saying, okay, well, we trained against you a lot, and this is the moment that we can prove that we can take you down. Now, what has been the name of the game this MSI? Team fighting. It's been so much fun, and it won't be different today.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, team fighting has been the name of the game, and to me, JDG have been the kings of team fighting. So I had a couple clips I wanted to go through just to talk about some of the things that have really impressed me. This is actually from a fight between JDG and BLG earlier at MSI. The key thing I really want you to pay attention to is how all the JDG members will mark and peel different members on the BLG side. So keep your eyes over here on Ruler. Ruler is going to be that key member pretty much as always in the team fight. It's an RE Vi here for BLG, and they're going to be looking to try to dive him. So as Shun goes forward, in comes the ulti. Now watch what the response is going to be here from JDG. Kanavi right here in the pit, he's going to be moving to actually mark Yagao. We're seeing 369, he's already marking Bin, and Knight as well as Missing are going to move to actually mark these two members. So as we roll forward, watch how fast this comes in. Instant flash twisted advance here from the Maokai onto the RE, blocks the charm. Here comes Knight pushing forward, W stun on both members there, and is actually going to flip them in. 369 already waited out the parry, stunned out on the Fiora. Everyone is getting marked simultaneously and completely shutting down the dive to build this space for Ruler. And we know what happens when Ruler gets space, he takes over the fight. And it's just so impressive to me how, whether they're going to be diving, whether they're going to be playing defensively, they're really setting up their AD for success incredibly well. So I'm going to jump now into another clip. This is one where they're playing it out a little bit differently. You know, it's not always that they're peeling back for Ruler. They're really going to base it on the momentum of the fight and base it on those opportunities. In this one, you really want to keep your eyes here on 369. He's actually playing the Gragas. He's snuck around. He actually body slammed over the wall right here. And now he's trying to play around vision. They have an idea that there could be a ward here, and he's going to be looking to try to avoid it. So in this fight, it's really all about Gumi Yushi. They're going to see this opportunity as 369 is sneaking around the side here to go for Gumi. Notice as T1 is actually trying to engage, everyone peels back here on the JDG side. Ruler just avoiding the Maokai twisted advance, and in comes 369. And as soon as he sees his opportunity here to actually jump in on T1's AD, it is a body slam flash, and everyone is immediately going to be following up on it. Ruler stepping forward to fire here. Knight is actually coming in from the side as well. Missing is piling in. Everyone is going to be looking to jump in onto T1's AD and immediately burst him down. And then as soon as he's done, again, it's a swap in priorities. It's now, okay, we've killed the enemy AD. We're all going to have to move back and protect Ruler. Everyone peeling back to get onto Zeus, who's playing this Gwen, and really take him out. And I just think it's so interesting to watch how they team fight and how they're really just one cohesive unit. It feels like it's one mind playing 5 characters at times in these fights, because they all know exactly what their role is at any given moment, and they perform it flawlessly.
I also think, as you're highlighting as well, that being able to play different style of compositions means you have so much more room in draft. I think LPL teams in general have had a really good meta read here, but given the fact that you could either put 369 on something like a Scion, where he is just pure frontline, but also put him in a Gragas, where he will find those flanks and make the enemy backline scared at any given point, makes it such a hard team to draft again.
And I think it's so incredible to see the growth that we've had from 369 and from Knight. When you think back onto top esports in 2020, there was a massive joke that, well, top esports don't know how to engage, so they just play long range. And a huge amount of this was 369 not being able to facilitate that, Knight not understanding his role. But now that they've come across the JDG, they look like entirely new players, and it's that growth that is making JDG such a deadly team.
Yes, I've always been a little bit annoyed that when sometimes we talk about, myself included, about LPL teams in the past, we talk about there's crappy style and they bring you down to their level. No, you have to step up to theirs because they are so insane in team fights. And one of my questions is, of course, the meta was always going to favor what we see, plays a part. There are other teams that also play very bot heavy and protect the ADC since the dawn of League of Legends. But is it because the LPL was so incredibly strong at playing this that they have formed the rest of the tournament to make them play their style?
I think so, right? I think that the people who are at the top of the table, who are actually leading the way, do kind of dictate the meta, right? They are showing you the best way to play League of Legends right now. It is getting your AD ahead. It is protecting them in that team fight. And if you have Ruler, he is definitely worth protecting. If you have Elk, he is definitely worth protecting.
It'll be so interesting to see how today's LVL top lane Titans will impact team fight as 369 and Ben are facing off in our featured matchup presented by Mercedes-Benz.
It is clear that the rivalry between Bin and 369 has shaped the way they play as top laners, and may indeed be the reason why these two are facing each other in the finals today. They have faced the best in every other region, and found that only in the old rivalry from the LPL can they truly find the best challenge.
Bin's behind. Winter's Blade is there, and Ben's coming around. Snip, snip. They force him to go gold, and they shut him down with Ben.
369.
Yeah, he is going to flash in. Doesn't manage to get the body slam onto both of them, but it's still going to be fine. The Jinx is taken down, and Carrier just going to vacate the area.
But only one of them will truly be labeled as the best top laner in the world. 369 and JDG were able to win the last time these two faced off, but Bin was able to provide the hope of a comeback for BLG.
It was supposed to be EDG, it was supposed to be Gen G, it was supposed to be T1, but here at MSI, BLG stands strong in defiance of all expectations.
There is no lower bracket for anyone to fall back on now, and no excuses left. Will 369 finally win his first international title, or will Bin defend his? It's time for the featured matchup presented by Mercedes-Benz.
Let's get it. I mean, we've talked so much about bot lane prowess in general, but these are two teams that also just curb the meta to what they want to do. And since we're starting in the top lane, I think we have a visual aid.
Yes. Me and Rob will do this together.
Okay.
There we go.
All right. So,
What
are
we
you
have
gonna
here?
do?
What we have here is a visual aid to showcase as we get for every matchup. Where do we think the advantage
To
lies?
hold you accountable.
Exactly.
I like it.
No
Don't
backpedaling.
like that, don't
No,
like that.
absolutely not.
Okay.
And also, we also have our faces.
Great.
Coincidentally, mine kind of mimics how I felt watching yesterday's series. But Rob, as you can see,
Well, I'm the LPL rep, so
Yeah,
I'm
he's-
very
he's
happy. I'm
very
incredibly
I
happy.
thought you were in EU. I see you jump sides depending
Yeah,
on
it's,
who wins.
look, my launch is
Classic.
easily bought, you know.
All right, take your mark, lads.
So let's start with top lane then. Where do you think it's going to go, and who has the best chance?
you get to go first.
Or actually,
Okay.
who's going to make the difference today? That's
So
the context.
this is where I think the most interesting conversation is, because I think when you look at like in lane, I would definitely give it to Bin. I think Bin has been absolutely incredible in actually getting these advantages and putting 369 in his place. But when it starts to teeter in towards the later team fights, that's where I think it starts to become a much bigger win for 369. But as Azale rightly pointed out, his team fighting has been absolutely
Yeah.
impeccable.
I mean, he's been on top. I'm not going to put it so far over on 369. I think it's actually pretty even, because I do think that Bin is just such a different style, right? You know, 369 is about playing weak side. Often they're not playing towards him. You know, Shun is going to be playing more heavily towards Bin, getting him ahead. I do think Bin is a monster on carries, but I think that the team fighting side, you know, is definitely 369, and he has really been able to answer him well historically. So I do think it's a pretty even matchup.
Yeah, I'm gonna echo Zoe. I'm gonna nestle myself right beside him.
Don't want to upset the apple cart.
The main thing to me is that I think that the Bin that we're seeing at this tournament is not the same Bin that we saw domestically, right? I think that he has really shown that, as much as we talked about it, you know, 369 and them trash talking one another, and Bin playing side immediately in solo queue, you know, we've actually seen the impact of this. He has actually been able to be more versatile and not just carry on carries.
And but that's the thing, is that the fact that we've had Bin who's managed against 369 in their series to get solo kills, to get these advantages, it's been about trying to translate them into team fights, and that's where these carries haven't been able to fully perform, and that's where we've actually seen the adjustment, as Veronica was saying, the shift towards tanks, towards Scions. These were things that have been picked up after being beaten by 369 and has added another layer to the armor and the repertoire that BLG are bringing. So this is going to be the big curiosity for me. What side do we see Bin go towards? I'm sure he's going to bring out carries at least once, and I hope he does get to have that performance.
Yeah, I guess the big question is if Bin can step on stage here as a complete player, a more complete player than he was before this will heavily increase the chances coming out of BLG. But we followed Bin's story so far here, and he's learning English because he watches a lot of WWE, so we found it fitting to make some graphics. And well, yesterday, Zeus is in the pile now too, I guess.
He's just adding to the pile game after game after game, dunking on top laners left and right. But This does not tell the story of the LPL, like we said.
Doesn't?
They have actually running into each other. Already have 4 series, and 369 came out on top in all 4 of those. He's going to be looking to put Bin in the bin today and make it 5 for 5 on the year.
That's so cool. I heard that it made it all the way to Weibo and like the Chinese community as well, that they love the memes, and you know, we know they do. But it's true, even though it's a meme image, it does reflect what we expect to happen here today, either of those.
Even though I think the individual performance of early laning leads don't matter as much, as Azul was pointing out earlier, the way that your top laner is able to either create space for your AD carry or set up team fights is still extremely pivotal. And if you're not able to deliver on that part, you're not going to be able to get a win.
Definitely so. Well, to introduce our first mid laner today, here's Emily with a finals edition of Draw My Life on JDG Night.
Draw My Life Night. Zhou Knight Ding began his pro career on Young Miracles, an LSBL team well known for scouting strong talent. Knight was known pre-debut as a mid-lane prodigy in solo queue. He initially wanted the name Knight and then added the K without knowing that it too was an English word. The prodigious mid laner is from the same city as Yagao. They once played on the same Net Cafe team and have now met in the LPL finals multiple times. Knight was nicknamed the Golden Left Hand by Chinese casters for his mechanical prowess and the fact that he is left. Knight's parents are both very supportive of his esports pro career. His father teaches the game of Go, and he also won some Age of Empires competitions himself. Knight has been to LPL finals 5 times since 2020 and now has 2 LPL titles, including the most recent one. Known for his strong domestic performances for years, Knight has now brought them to the international stage at 2023 MSI.
Thank you so much, Emily. I believe, Dagda, you actually said something when we talked about him.
Yeah, the reason